This video is sponsored by Omaze. Want to win a Tesla? Better listen to the ad.
I could play this game forever.
What'd you say?
Coughing! I was coughing.
Yeah, this was painful. Look, cartoons have a long, probably problematic history about awakening the horny side of all of us. And it's pretty much a tradition at this point that every kid's cartoon has that one slightly older crush that Rule 34 was gonna make every Google search of a risk. Foster's Home had Frankie, Avatar had Tylee, OKKO had Enid, and Gravity Falls had Wendy. Plus a 12-year-old who simped for her.
Step 1, casual banter. So here's a casual question.
This relationship is the stuff people lie awake at night cringing over, and I'm all for it. As for as bad as it was watching Dipper do his everything, Gravity Falls is one of those shows that has gone down as one of the all-time greats, with it taking the simple idea of a pair of twins visiting a small town in bumfuck Oregon and making the mystery surrounding it an ever-growing web of intrigue that kept you watching it and every theory video in existence. With one of the biggest mysteries of the show being, would Dipper, a 12-year-old, land the 15-year-old cashier at the Mystery Shack? Or was this going to be the learning experience that pushed him to be with literally anyone else?
Ha! No. Your loss.
This is a story about how Dipper failed to get the girl, how he's better for it, and let's be real, he was never in love, just obsessed. Finn may have screwed up his chances, but at least he had them, because Dipper just had a crush on the babysitter, and there was no way that this was gonna end how he wanted it to. In the show at least. But if you want to be better than Dipper and take a chance that may actually pay off, you gotta check out today's sponsor, Omaze. Omaze is a fundraising platform where you can enter for a chance to win prizes while the money goes to support a great cause, like the Juju Foundation. Juju is a non-profit organization dedicated to supporting youth initiatives and helping those in need. From giving out warm Thanksgiving meals to those who have none, to creating grants for the community. A great cause to support while also entering for a chance to win a brand new, unplugged Tesla S Apex Plaid. All-wheel drive, satin white exterior, 0 to 60 piece of modern engineering can get you up to 396 miles between charges. Equipped with self-driving capabilities, this is one of the hottest models on the market right now. And at a retail value of nearly $2,600,000, you have the chance to win this and support a great cause. This is the perfect opportunity. And support the Juju Foundation, a great cause, go to www.omaze.com/sarcasticchorus. This is a win-win situation. You have no reason to not go check out Omaze. All right, back to talking about what people actually want to hear. So Dipper x Wendy, or Wendip if you're trying to be pretentious, to me was a ship I was just waiting to sink, so that I could go back to pretending that it never happened. As with most romantic subplots, it's usually pretty easy to tell where the show is going. It's just a matter of how it happens. Like sure, people can point out every minute detail that explains why this one relationship is absolutely gonna happen. But let's be honest, most romance shows aren't that subtle. With that initial setup of their relationship, what you see is what you get. With the initial setup of their relationship pretty much telling you exactly how this was gonna go, and what it was actually here for. With Dipper and his twin Mabel getting dumped on his great uncle Stan for the summer so they can get some fresh air, which is just code for the parents wanting to have an actual vacation. Owen's dropped off in the middle of the second weirdest town in Oregon. The twins get swept up in the mystery and mayhem that the place has to offer. But because this isn't Scooby-Doo, we need to have the cast do other things than solve mysteries. With Mabel's gimmick being her finding a new crush every week, Dipper on the other hand, needs something else to occupy his mind, which is where Wendy comes in.
Like I lay awake at night thinking about her. Uh-oh.
Wendy is kind of everything Dipper wants in his life. While he's desperately trying not to break his neck from snapping between arrogance and insecure, Wendy is the 15-year-old cool kid who seems to have life figured out. Getting paid to do nothing because she doesn't do it, Wendy just chills on the cash register all day, making small talk or just hanging out on the roof before it's time to collect that check. She's pretty much just vibing through life, which is the confidence and hotness Dipper's puberty monster is searching for. And the fact that she's a badass with a heart of gold, and there aren't any real downsides to her. So you can see why Dipper would fall hard for her. But you can also see how it was never gonna fucking happen. For starters, let's just get this out of the way. Age gap. Dipper is 12, about to be 13, while Wendy is 15. Not the worst thing in the world. Not even the worst one I've talked about.
I think we've got a problem.
No shit.
While 3 years pretty much means nothing in the grand scheme of things, the difference here is huge when you're talking about kids. Puberty is a bitch, and it makes everything worse. Some people turn into freaks of nature while others are still waiting on that first zit. Everyone is at a different place physically, emotionally, mentally. Maturity levels are a shot in the dark and no one knows what the hell is going on. But the basic rule of the land is, if they're in your school, it's probably cool. But if some high schooler is trying to pick up middle schoolers, everyone is going to be throwing side-eye as they're fishing in the wrong pond. Got prior history? Maybe we'll allow it. But you're still going to hear a lot of shit being talked, as although the difference may seem minor, the difference between middle and high school really can be night and day, which is the vibe that this show's art style makes even worse, as Dipper looks like a child, while Wendy is one line away from looking like his mother. She's just really tall, but her friend group is built like college dropouts rather than high schoolers, and this man's tats is doing them no favors. All this builds to Dipper and Wendy feeling like they are way farther apart in age than they actually are. But it really does contribute to the sense that these two are in two completely different worlds. They're in different parts of their lives. If they had met any other time, Dipper may have had a shot, but this ain't it. So Dipper is stuck in that awkward tween phase, crushing hard, which is the real point of their relationship. Every episode needs to kind of be able to stand on its own, and it's not Scooby-Doo. There's no just blanket, oh, we're gonna be solving this today. Mysteries are not that simple. Characters have to have interests outside of the weirdness of Gravity Falls that are then highlighted by the chaos rather than being the main focus. This is easy to do with most of the cast, as Mabel has her own crushes. Stan is out there trying to get that bread by stealing everyone else's. Seuss is just a support character, leaving Dipper as the one problem child in the writer's room, as the kid is obsessed with all these mysteries and would rather be making theory videos than being outside. Meaning you gotta get him something to turn that big, dumb brain of his off, and hormones are the best way to do it. Because if he isn't learning who created the journal, he might as well be learning how to act, which is really what him obsessing over Wendy is all about, as we get to watch him suffer through that one unobtainable crush that we've all had while suffering through the horrors of having a game plan with no game. As pretty much from the start, the struggle is real for Dipper, falling in love pretty much immediately.
Uh-oh.
With those feelings making him even more awkward as he tries to hang out with her. Pretending to be cool to win over a bunch of nobody's approval, they break into a haunted convenience store, where rather than telling them to get the hell out when they realize it's haunted, Dipper decides to play coy because he doesn't want to get labeled a scared little kid. So he just keeps hanging around as things get worse and his sister ODs in the back.
Would you like to eat my candy paws?
Eventually, the teenager-hating ghosts decide to kill everyone, and it's only when Dipper decides, hey, maybe it's time to stop looking cool in front of Wendy, does he actually get her respect, as anyone can do what everyone else does. But it takes a certain amount of maturity to throw your pride aside to look stupid in front of your crush. And this all just speaks that pressure present in a lot of friend groups, with the youngest members trying way too hard to be mature and act like everyone else, which only outs them as being insecure and not comfortable being themselves with the people around them.
Hey, next time we hang out, let's stay at the Mystery Shack, okay?
Next time? Yeah, let's hang out at the shack.
Yeah, this is pretty much the best Dipper could hope for in these situations. This poor kid brought what little game he had, but all he ended up with is self-improvement, with nearly every episode starting with Dipper trying to get on her level only to fall straight to the bottom of the hole he dug himself into. With the worst part being, he was getting in his own way more often than not.
Hey, you! Quit hitting myself! Quit hitting myself!
Literally and figuratively. No amount of planning can cover up for the fact that Dipper had no idea what he's doing. So when his 20-step plan of please fall in love with me falls apart before he could even get up to bat, he just simply refused to listen to what everyone kept telling him.
Nothing can get in my way.
Dipper, you're the one getting in your way.
Deciding that what he really needs is to clone himself to overcomplicate an already overcomplicated plan, because the local emo boy is on the scene and already trying to get Wendy's attention. With the teen douche coming up with an even better plan than Dipper, which is just to talk to her. He's an asshole, but he's got a guitar and he shoots his shot. While Dipper is freaking out about how to make his, which means making more clones with a haunted printer because cartoons. still not as scary as Doodlebop. Racking their brains together to come up with schemes within schemes to isolate Wendy so that he can finally begin his fully rehearsed talking points. When the original accidentally meets her by the bathroom, they actually have a genuine conversation.
I thought your parents just hated you or something.
So to the shock of everyone that's ever had anxiety, it turns out planning out what's gonna happen is more stressful than just doing the damn thing, because it's only in the moment that you can make things happen. So after internalizing this essential life lesson, Dipper kills himself. While he's finishing up that, Axe body spray snuck in for the win, leaving Mabel as the only one to pull that night. But if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Ow! My eye!
And again. Ow! And again. Ow! Or at least until you readjust your priorities. Now, I've already said that Dipper's affection for Wendy isn't treated like there's building an actual relationship. There are no markers where they are developing into something more. They don't have no receipts. What Dipper is dealing with is that he is in fact a bit obsessed. Unlike other shows I know, it doesn't lurch into full, genuine creepiness. There's no consistent behavior that he is doing that is really setting off massive red flags. He does a creepy thing in one episode, learns that he was being creepy, and then he stops doing it, which makes it easier to shake off as just being a character flaw, rather than this character being just a stalker. But if we had to look at the episode where Dipper is at his most creepy, then it had to be the time traveler's pig. We're taking another shot of turning a friend's thing into couples shit, ends with him getting Wendy a black eye.
Ow! My eye!
Unintentionally. Panicking, he runs to get ice, only for Robbie to swoop in. Where just to prove what a non-factor Dipper was, Robbie asks her out, and she accepts.
I've been meaning to ask you, we've been spending a lot of time together, and I was wondering if maybe you wanted to go out with me?
Yeah, I guess so.
Sweet!
Now Dipper is pretty much only here for the summer, and that part of his brain that lets him think long-term hasn't fully developed yet, which means this is the end of the world, and this is somehow his fault because he nailed her in the eye and left her alone, as he failed to monopolize her attention. So Robbie must therefore be an opportunist who was only there at the right place at the right time, and it is this kind of territorial mindset that is gonna send this kid straight to 4chan and worse. Because the simple fact is, Dipper isn't even a factor in this equation. Robbie and Wendy have had something going on for a long time, with everything Dipper has been doing happening around that. The Dippin' Twat, though, has to take it personally, which means going back in time with Fat Morty's time machine. The only problem here is, he fails.
My eye!
What?
Because this is now a universal constant, with the only way for him to not give Wendy a black eye is at the cost of his sister's new pet pig, breaking her heart and refusing to let her try and win her pig back because he's finally happy. Of course, this episode can't end with the message being "fuck you, got mine." Dipper goes back and has to hit Wendy intentionally this time, leading her to date Robbie, but he chose his sister's mental health over a girl he just met, so in the end, he did the right thing. Plus we got Waddles, the cutest cartoon pig. Speaking of pigs, let's talk about Robbie some more and how his beef with a 12-year-old says just as much about him as it does about Dipper. Robbie is basically just season 1 Lars, but without the self-awareness that he sucks to keep him from being whiny. Buying into his hype, this bargain bin jerk is petty, lazy, and secretly insecure, as he believes Dipper to be an actual threat. Being a dick to him at every opportunity, they take turns cock-blocking each other because they think they're fighting for the same objectified prize that neither of them understand. Both of them have no idea what they're doing, but they are 100% confident that they are doing this the right way. Robbie desperately tries to be cool by being apathetic, being in a band, and picking on the 12-year-old for so much as playing video games with his girl. While on the smaller hand, Dipper is backseat driving the whole relationship, calling out Robbie for what he does wrong, while not having any idea what to do right. As yeah, Robbie is self-absorbed and was too busy trying to be flirty to hear Wendy tell him she'll be out of town for a few days. Dipper heard, but he's kind of just being that step below nice guy, where he's taking everything Wendy does or says so that he can have an opportunity later down the line to date her. He's her friend. But attention to detail isn't paying attention, as both of them are missing the obvious fact that Wendy really doesn't treat dating as seriously as these two do.
You wanted to go out with me?
Yeah, I guess so.
Dipper is thinking that she's his soulmate, and Robbie is just in love. But Wendy is having fun. She dated a lot of guys in the past, but we never get the feeling that any of them have been that serious. She's looking for someone who's fun to be around and to do stuff with. Unlike these idiots, she really doesn't have an endgame for any of this. If you're cool, she'll give you a chance. But if you're not, hey, it was nice knowing you. Compare that to the boys, who are pretty much planning the rest of their lives around her, while she's just doing this as a side hustle. She still cares, and it can still hurt, but it's not everything. It's just an extension of how she liked you before, not some magic upgrade. It's this confusion that leads Robbie and Dipper to fight over her like the immature idiots that they are, because they see this as all or nothing. From beating the other up to hating each other in silence once Wendy made it clear she doesn't care for when boys fight over her. From here, it's pretty much Dipper waiting out the clock for Robbie to finally fuck this up.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's almost immediately, as the hey, this guy might be sweet underneath all this fake edginess can't make up for the fact that he's a rude dick the rest of the time.
Maybe I'll see you at the party.
If you're not too busy playing dress up.
It's at 9. Don't forget.
With Dipper also struggling with that, as he desperately wants to do cool teen things with Wendy so that she'll see him as older, which leads to him trying to lie and distance himself from Mabel and all his other interests. And Mabel, who is unapologetically herself, both in what she loves and her interests, causes Dipper to try to write her off as being too kiddie, but nearly dying has a way of putting stupid posturing in perspective, so he gets to live to try and hang out with Wendy another day while she's in her swimsuit.
Plus, I get the best seat in the house.
Yeah, you do.
But the other shoe finally drops when Robbie, getting on Wendy's last nerve by standing her up one too many times, writes her a song, which she finds just cute enough to give him one more chance. Because he's showing he can put in effort and be sincere. Except he's lying, he stole the music, and is trying to pass it off as original content.
When I look into your eyes.
Dipper, being the fine, upstanding citizen that he is, completely lucks out, as he plays the music backwards and discovers there's a secret message.
You are now under my control. Your mind is mine.
On this occasion, it's not mind control. Dipper just got lucky, as he really just assumed, because he didn't like the music, there had to be something nefarious. Not that Wendy just appreciates the effort, which just proves my point that Dipper is kind of arrogant and doesn't get Wendy as much as he thinks he does. As for as bad as the optics are of Robbie trying to pick on a seemingly younger kid, Dipper really was trying to get with Wendy, and all his valid criticisms are just veiled jabs about how he could do it better. Which is why, when they finally break up and Dipper finally has his chance, he takes it. Immediately. And I do mean immediately.
Now that your night is free, me and Grunkle Stan were thinking maybe bowling or something?
Are you serious?
Yeah, that might be Dipper's worst moment ever. Not even a minute after he broke them up, he's trying to ask her out. Because it's all about him. Not understanding that, hey, that was kind of a rough thing that just happened. Maybe she needs some time to process the relationship falling apart. But no, Dipper just goes straight for it, because for as much as he blamed Robbie for being an opportunist, the second he had his chance, he was just as bad, which is just a shitty thing to do.
What is wrong with guys? You only think about yourselves. All of you should just leave me alone.
You blew it, man.
Eventually, the Lumberjane gets over the breakup. She went back to being friends with Dipper. I think even the writers realized they needed to get this over with already, making Mabel the audience surrogate when she physically locks Dipper and Wendy into a room so the show can finally move on with its life. Except we gotta check some tags off the list, as a shape-shifting monster tries to kill them, only to end up looking like a dead Wendy, with Dipper confessing what he thinks to the dead body. Shenanigans are over, and the two finally have the conversation.
Too young!
No, really, that is the long and short of it. Wendy admits that she has always kind of known Dipper had a crush on her.
I mean, you think I can't hear that stuff you're constantly whispering under your breath?
I could play this game forever.
But being the mature one, she has to explain to him that just won't happen. He's too young. But she's also super nice and understanding. She's not dragging him for any of these feelings, while also telling him that she does enjoy his company. He's one of the people that she has the most fun with out of anyone. But she doesn't want to get put on any watch lists, so those 2 years really shot down any chance of him dating her. They'll still be close, and Wendy can finally start just being the badass of the crew. But as far as romantic subplots go, this one is finally dead in the water. Dipper's a little bit wiser from it, and I hated almost every minute of it.
Whoa. This is worthless.
It's less than worthless, my boy.
Look, there's a difference between appreciating what a story is trying to do versus actually enjoying what's happening. Dipper and Wendy, boy with a crush on the babysitter who is just too old for him, growing from it, relatable life lessons, and other Happy Meal shit. But actually watching this plot week after week after week is the kind of pain I'd wish on my worst enemies and Sasuke x Sakura stans. Like I said at the beginning, this is a ship you know is doomed from the start. The point is not to deepen the bond between these characters, it's a distraction so Dipper can have episodes that aren't focused on the plot. You never think it's gonna happen. Wendy isn't gained any development out of this. It's all for Dipper's benefit, which is fine. But with that mindset, every episode of Dipper trying to get with her is funny, but it's kind of a waste of time. It's grating, because it's not fucking going anywhere. This is Finn and Princess Bubblegum, but worse, with even less chances, making it even more aggravating. Gravity Falls, amazing show. But Gravity Falls doesn't have that big character shifts like Adventure Time did. To make this really feel meaningful, that these lessons really stick, it doesn't happen. Dipper feels like the same character at the beginning of the show that he does at the end. He's focused on details, it helps him solve mysteries, but it makes him overthink his relationships. It's good to see him take a step back from that, but it's not a massive change. He is still functionally the same guy. Wendip sticks out as just being the sore thumb, as it's kind of just there, and with everything else being great, it makes it way more noticeable. Dipper and Wendy don't become super close by going through all this. They start as partners in crime, they end it partners in crime. Dipper just stops trying to impress her. All this builds and packs itself into a ship you kinda just tolerate till it's over, as Dipper is his worst self trying to get Wendy, which is very in character for young boys. You just tolerate it till they finally grow out of that nightmare.
Do you Muscle Dad is right. Finding the right person is hard.
Hopefully. This shit being dead on arrival, but still made you stick around and pretend it was gonna happen, is why people were so happy to try and match Dipper with Pacifica. That could actually happen. That could actually make them a couple, instead of this, where Dipper looks like he could be Wendy's son. They were never gonna make them a couple, and we respect short kings, but when they're this young, you're better off waiting to meet again in your 20s. The second that they stopped shipping them, I was living my best life. Till they brought up again in Weirdmageddon, where a pleasure dimension that gives you exactly what you want pops Dipper with a version of Wendy who wants to date him and suggests he tries to transform himself into being the same age as her, which...
Wait! Oh, this isn't real!
Again, appreciate what they're doing. If they want to give Dipper some temptation, this is where you go. This is the most sinister way to do it. But the relationship has been dead for 15 episodes. It felt like too little too late to give him this choice. And it just felt like they were dredging up embarrassing ancient history. He doesn't take it, and the finale is nearly perfect. Love how they switch hats. Love the letter she gives him. But this is a great ending to the show. The actual ship...
Cares?
I appreciate what the show's doing, but Dipper pining was not a fun experience for me. Thankfully, the show still slaps, but ultimately, we didn't need this. Thank y'all for watching. This has been Sarcastic Chorus. Let me know what you guys thought about the ship in the comments. Please tell me all the great fan art and how you are absolutely certain this will work in 10 years. I love you all. Goodbye.